shit. What the fuck is going on?
All right, just give me a thumbs up.
Yeah. Five, four, three, two.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode three of the Eagles in the Outback podcast. I am, of course, Insidious Meerkat, aka Thomas, one of your hosts. To my right, or my left, left, we have Barry Bogan, aka TJ, and then down below we have Radio Jesus, aka Connor. How you guys doing? How was your guys' week?
Connor?
Pretty busy actually this week for me. I didn't have a lot of time to sit down and, do things that I like to sit down and do, my hobbies and stuff. I was pretty busy with a whole bunch of different things this week. But, it always feels good when you get to the end of one of those busy weeks, when you get to relax on the weekend, which is what I did today, all day watching football. So,
Oh, yeah.
Here we are.
Definitely agree. Guys, look, check it out. New studio. I moved house in the last week. So I moved from where I was living in Coffs Harbour to about an hour out of Sydney. I'm not going to dox myself and tell everybody where I live. But yeah, the new studio, guys. You guys, I don't know how many of you guys have seen this on my previous streams and stuff, but yeah, new house. So we got a studio now. It still needs more decorating and stuff, but yeah, dude, a bit busy week for me. Busy week for me as well.
For sure. I mean, it looks great. I mean, I'm really impressed with what you got going on over there. It looks really good, and I'm happy that you got a place to live. But today, guys.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So today we do have another special guest as promised. So originally from Toronto, Canada, this is another musician again that he found a calling in the United States, actually, in the southwestern part of the United States. He's been with several different bands, big bands, LA Guns, Frady Cat, Electric Radio Kings, and now he's with Crashing Wayward. 3 decades in the music industry, professional, just really knows his stuff. So everybody, give me a warm welcome. Help me introduce our special guest, Stacey David Blades. Stacey, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah. Or
Hi
like the
guys, how are you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us.
good to be here.
So how have you been? How's just life in general?
Life is a little different this year. It's it's funny, because I talked to several different people and other musicians. It's like you're kind of going along, and then it's like you just kind of stop dead in your tracks and go, "Wow, everything is just so effed up right now."
Right.
And it's just like you try to kind of live a normal life, but it's just so surreal what's going on. It's kind of like a sci-fi movie, and it just goes to show how much in the world we take for granted, especially in a civilized world that we live in. um, you know it's I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime, as
Oh,
I'm
for
sure you guys have.
No,
yeah.
no.
But
It's definitely. Let's say 2020 has been definitely one of those years that's just it's gonna go down in the history books. We're living
oh,
we're
we'll be
living world
talking about it
history.
for a second.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's
Oh,
like almost biblical. It's like I don't know. It's kind of scary.
It
Um,
is.
We're
that's a
gonna be
whole
talking
other
about
story. But
it. We're gonna
I've
talk
actually been
about it
really,
for
really
decades
busy.
now.
We just started recording finally. We've been doing 2 months of pre-production. Um, the studio's actually closed down for March, April, and opened up. I think it was not till June.
Really?
So we were basically writing our record through the internet, through GarageBand and through iTunes and Pro Tools, and just sharing files. And that's kind of how we wrote the whole record, which was kind of interesting. But I look at it as a blessing because with that given time, we just really hunkered and basically worked worked on and written just some of the best music I've done in my career. So for what we're doing.
For sure.
And I also teach music too. So I've actually been super busy doing that as well, which actually came in handy because a lot of people had extra time and wanted to learn guitar and stuff. So I just like think back and go, man, this whole thing started 6 months ago. It's already almost October. It was literally the summer flew by. But I think because it's like, I'm sure with everybody else, like, we're not having that many distractions like normal life. So for me, it was like every week turned into the same work, same week turned into the same week, turned into the same month, which, I refer to as Groundhog Week. It wasn't Groundhog Day, Groundhog Week.
For sure. Yeah. Just
So
repeating the
I'm
cycle.
sure you guys have probably experienced the same things.
Yeah,
Definitely, yeah.
it's definitely going around. Everyone's definitely feeling the effect of this, but specifically like band members. We talked to Travis Collins about it last week and how 2020 just this entire thing has had an effect on his music career. So what about you? So you've kind of gone over talking about instead of being able to record in studios and getting together, you've had to be over the internet. And obviously performing in public is almost just not a thing. So how are you guys coping with that? And how are you scheduling everything?
That really sucks. Yeah, and it's not just us; it's everybody. So it's like you feel the pain for every single working musician. Um, I'm just glad that we were able to get at least a couple of shows this year. We played in Vegas in January, and then we played in LA, and then we were going to play some shows heading out east to Arizona and Texas, and those had to be shelved, obviously. But it's so weird, and then you become numb to it. It's just like, okay, you just have to accept. It's like I don't think I'm going to be playing the rest of this year. So
Right.
for me, that sucks. But we're so involved with the record right now, and it could have been a better time for us to change the name of the band. We did a month ago, from Electric Kings to Crashing Wayward. So I look at this year as almost kind of a blessing because it really, the time really benefited us. And I think it's tough when you have the musicians that were working full time, touring full time, that just basically, that just, ground to a halt. That would be really tough pill to swallow.
It sounds like it's
sure.
been a rebirth, Stacey, like a rebirth of the band. If you said you changed the name,
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of it sounds like it's been a bit of a blessing in disguise.
It has, and I was like, we were wanting to do this earlier, but we decided not to. But at the same time, I was clinging onto the life raft of ERK. And, Pete, my singer, was like, Stace, let go of the rope, because I was the only guy left in the band, and the band had, really only been together for a little less than 3 years, but it was right on the verge of success. And I think that's why I was like, no, I got to keep this alive. But it was like a point. So when we did make the announcement, though, the reaction was really fantastic. So that was good to experience that. But I think everybody's on pause, with their lives. I know a lot of people are still working and but life is just paused.
For sure.
So
And like with the way life's going, everyone's having to pause their lives. Everyone's gonna have to sit back and reflect, and like there's gonna be changes that are gonna be made just worldwide. So do you think that there's gonna be any specific changes to like the way the music industry runs? Even whether it's like just between record labels or if it's between artists and studios. Do you think there's ever going to be changes to prepare, I guess, for another situation like COVID? Can you prepare for a situation like COVID?
I don't know. Like I said, the vaccine might be a game changer, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how, sporting events and entertainment events are conducted once the vaccine is in kind of full throttle. I think that's mentally a game changer, but I hope, like, as far as music industry is that, it'll take the stick out of its ass and stop being so anal and just like, hey, it's like, human beings are being given a second chance here. We've been through so much as a race. We've survived a lot worse, but I think that just being able to go see a football game or go to a concert, I think people are going to be so excited and not take all that stuff for granted. As far as the politics of it, I'm not sure. I'm sure. It's like when's everybody going to get into a room full of 1,000 people and feel safe to do so? That's what is the question that's kind of scary.
I think that's a good point, actually. To that is even if things get more and more back to normal and we see good progress being made as far as reducing in cases and people being affected by COVID, whether it be after we have a vaccine or whatever the case is. I don't personally know when I would feel okay with, getting back into a public place with a bunch of people. And I think
it's psychological, right? It's like when somebody comes and sticks their hand out at you, it's like, wah!
Right.
And I catch myself doing that, and it's like, hey, nice to meet you.
Doing that little elbow bump with the CDC. Yeah, exactly.
But we got to live our lives, and if anything, it's definitely taught us to carry around hand sanitizer and wash your hands. But I used to do that anyway. So, but I hope that mentally we can get back in the game on all levels. That I think that's what's most upsetting to me. Is also a lot of people died from this, and so many people have been unemployed and laid off, and the travel industry, which is part of the music industry, has been hit so hard. It really sucks. It's when you stop and start thinking about it, man. it'll weigh you down. So for me, I speak for everybody else, but it's like you just have to think of greener pastures and like we will get through this. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I hope it can't get worse. I think we've
never
seen
say
the worst.
never.
But yeah, it's just such a crazy year, man. The politics and the racism and the uprising and the riot. It's just world's become unraveled. I think it's just been boiling and boiling. And people are just losing their shit.
Exactly. It can only take so much, and it seems like 2020 has been that year where everything finally hit the boiling point. And everyone finally was like, "No, enough is enough." We need to say something about it, and that's all over the world. That's not just in America, where 3/4 of us right here are from. I mean,
it kind of reminds me. I wasn't alive then, but what was going on in the '60s, the mid '60s and late '60s, there was almost the same thing with politics and there's a lot of racism and a lot of protesting and uprising. It's almost kind of reminiscent of what was going on in that.
for sure.
People just got fed up.
Exactly.
There's a lot of clashing with the police back then.
Yeah, and it's definitely history does seem to repeat itself. But so speaking of history, we talked a lot about this year and how it's had an effect on you. But you've been in the music industry for over 3 decades now. I believe it was 1984, I want to say, when LA Guns released your first album, correct? Somewhere around there.
No, they
with you were like.
No, I mean I was still in grade school.
Oh, okay. But you've been in the music industry and doing this for a very long time.
Like 90, 91, yeah. LA Guns were around technically as a band in '84, but their first record didn't come out until I think it was May of '88.
Okay,
but I mean, I was a teenager then, so
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've been playing music, professionally for a long, long time. I started on piano when I was 9. And I took heavy lessons for 2 years straight. And then my parents bought me this little acoustic guitar for Christmas when I was 11. And once it got in my hands, that was it. The piano was long.
That was your turning point, just picking up that guitar for the first time.
Defining moment. So by the time I was 15, my parents were scratching their head. They're like, "Oh my God, what?" But yeah, I started playing in bars. Geez, I was like 17, 18 years old. I was playing in bars in Toronto in 88. And then I got my break to move to the States in late '92. So I left a long time ago. So and a lot's happened in that 28 years or so.
For sure. What was the defining moment for you? Was it when you were 11 and you picked up that guitar that you said, "I want to do this forever. I want to make this a career"? Or was it later on in your life when you were playing the guitar, realized you were getting good at it, and you just thought to yourself this is for me. This is what I want to do. When
I look back and go, I was really blessed to have the piano training, and my mom played piano. My sister was in World Conservatory, 8 years of piano, and my great uncle, he was Liberace. He had the suit, rings. He would come over, and he was amazing piano player. So it was kind of okay, you're taking lessons. And, as a kid, when you're that young, it's just it's almost chore oh, it's Wednesday, time for your piano lesson. And I go to a teacher's house and, but I kind of really enjoyed it because it was I fell into it really well. And within a year, I was basically sight reading music books, and I would be playing both hands, and I'd be sight reading this stuff, and flip the page and not skip a beat. And I think that was the defining moment where I was like, holy shit, man. Like, I'm actually pretty good. But you can't quite compute that as a kid, as a 10-year-old kid. You just kind of like, wow, man, like, hey, these things are moving on their own and it's all sounds correct. And like, I think I'm getting good. So when I, gravitated, when I started taking guitar lessons, by the time I was 12 and 13, I had gotten really good fast on the guitar. Because I had all that ear training and music theory training and, the recitals, all the piano recitals and everything like that. So it definitely helped out. And I would say by the time I was 14, I was, when I remember I got my first electric guitar, I just stand in front of the mirror and, just visualize the lights and the screaming crowds. And I just knew I was going to, not realizing at the time that I'm, completely, visualizing in law of attraction. And, that created my destiny or my world to come, but, it wasn't always an easy ride. It was a lot of work, man. I ate a lot of shit to get where I'm at. But I would say when I was playing piano to my Saturday Night Fever, I'm not embarrassed to say that. I was playing some Bee Gees song, I think. Obviously, they're loaded in that soundtrack. But I just remember just playing that and not skipping a beat. And I think that was the defining moment, not in my career, but as a young musician learning their craft. It was like, yeah, man, that's pretty badass. I'm able to do that.
Fun fact: the Bee Gees are actually from my hometown.
Of course.
Yeah. Up in Brisbane in Queensland.
That's right.
We did mention when Thomas was introducing yourself, Stacey, that you've performed in many bands. You've seen and heard it all. You've toured. What's it like playing along other amazing artists such as yourself, night in and night out? Well, I guess previous to pre-2020.
Yeah, I really loved, touring with other bands or being on like a festival with a lot of other bands. And I think one of my fondest memories is when we was in LA Guns and we played direct support to the Scorpions in Minneapolis. And it was just us two, the two bands at this place called Myth. That was about 3,500 people or so, sold out. And, meeting Matthias Jabs backstage, who's one of my, guitar influences, loves Scorpions, and he's fantastic. It was all those little moments. And then there was great other random moments where you're not on tour. And I remember, in 2009, my buddy had a villa at the Sunset Marquis Hotel in West Hollywood for a weekend. And he called me up. He's like, get your butt down here, get your swim shorts. And I was with an old friend of mine from Toronto who was happy to be visiting me. And, we're all sitting at the pool. We're the only ones there. We're drinking a beer. And you see this older guy come in with white hair and a ponytail. We're like, man, that dude looks familiar, So he kind of sits down maybe 20 feet from us. And I kind of lay back in my lounge chair. And then I jump out. And I'm like, oh, my God, that's Jimmy Page.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I'm staring at him, he's staring at me, and they're like, my friends are like, go say hi. And I'm just like, they're like, shut up, go say hi. I'm like, oh, okay. So, walked over and said, Jimmy, how are you? I don't want to bug you, bro. I said, I just want to shake your hand. My name's Stacey. I play in LA Guns. And thank you so much for so many you're awesome. And he's like, oh, mate, how you doing, Stace? And he's like, and this was another defining moment. At that time, prior to I joined LA Guns around 2003, 2004, but we had already done 2 records with Andy Johns. Andy Johns, a legendary producer unfortunately passed away in 2013. He engineered most of those Zeppelin records, and so then Jimmy Page says to me, he's like, "Says Stacey, have you talked to Andy Jones lately?" And I was like, I mean, my eyes rolled back, and it was like he kind of knew who I was. To get that acknowledgement was like, I could just die a happy man right now.
Yeah.
That's
Founding
awesome.
member of Led Zeppelin. How can you not get starstruck?
I mean,
Yeah.
shit, and dude, you know, TJ, I just sat down with him for 20 minutes, just one-on-one, with a beer and just shooting the shit with him. I'm like, I was pinching myself. I'm like, fucking no way this is happening.
Is this happening? Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of, that was a career high for sure. So, you know, you'd have these moments on and off stage, so to speak. So. But lots of to answer your question, go back full circle here. I always enjoyed playing with a lot of other bands, and it's like summer camp, you know, and to watch, you know, them play or they watch you play, and you know, you study these things too. It was always like, you know, playing with Alice Cooper was like, you know, we played with him a bunch of times, and just being able to watch him side stage or like, you know, hang out with him backstage. It's just like, wow, man, it's a dream come true.
You're
Everything
feeding
I've
off that
heard about
energy.
Alice. Sorry, can I go for it?
Oh, I was just saying, you're just feeding off that energy when you're playing with different people and different styles, and very cool, you know.
Yeah, I always was like, it was like, you know, I remember one time it was like we were playing in some hockey arena in Minneapolis. I remember I was just like other musicians watching me because it'd spur me on to either show off or just like really dig in and just like, you know, I remember Lita Ford watching me and just like, oh yeah, I'll show you a couple of things here.
Oh yeah. So
You
not
know,
only have you, oh, I'm sorry, you got more?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. But yeah, clearly you've got lots of, you know, music performing experience, music writing experience. But like you mentioned earlier, you also have music teaching experience with the Rock Academy Online. You launched that about 3 years ago now. Officially launched it. I saw it on your Twitter is officially launched, and you were looking for everything. Can you tell us about that and
Yeah.
like just a little bit about
Sure.
that?
Well, you know, I've been teaching for a while, Thomas, ever since the mid '90s, and it's something I really enjoy doing. And I kind of, you know, I'm not an edge, you know, I didn't go to school to be a music teacher or anything like that. It's like I just kind of take, basic motto that what my guitar teachers taught me. And it's an amazing gift to watch somebody who's, you know, never even picked up a guitar, and within months, you know, they're able to play music or they're able to play a song, and it's like watching their excitement. I mean, it's such an amazing feeling. And a lot of my students, they've been with me for years. So I really cherish that. And you know, I've been doing it a long time. So
For sure, just kind of
obviously
passing on
when I'm
that
on the
on.
road, yeah, when I'm on the road, I just don't have the time to teach. But you know, I've got some good students here in town, and some students online as well that I do through Skype. So yeah, it's been very blessed to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So Stacey, you're not just a musician, but you're actually an accomplished author as well.
Well,
Snake
I would say that's a bit of a stretch.
well, Snake Eyes Confession of a Replacement Rock Star is, as well as you've been in a couple of documentaries as well.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about what it's like to, you know, to branch out of out of the music scene and be, I guess, known for other bodies of work as well.
I think it's like you all. I think for me, it was always, you know, I would never consider myself one-dimensional, and I'm always, you know, looking for new guitar players to discover, to, you know, something I can do different or different genres. I just, you know, I'm not the kind of guy that's just like, pepperoni pizza every day. But there's people like that. They're fine with that. And I've never been like that. I've always wanted to try other things. And the book, which came out quite a while ago, almost 11 years ago, it kind of happened by accident. And I just started writing it, and I couldn't stop. And then it was like realizing how, kind of semi-dysfunctional my life has been. Chasing this rock and roll dream, or living this rock and roll dream. And it was like, got kind of an interesting story to tell from go. And that's kind of how that came. So, I wish I did, looking back on it, I wish I'd spent a little bit more time. I was kind of anxious to get it out, but, it did pretty good, and it got great reviews. So, it pissed some people off, as you're going to do when you write about your life story that involves, it's not like I'm writing about my life story as an accountant in my office space. You're around a lot of other people with some crazy experiences in this line of work. So it's really careful. It's really, you're gonna crack a few eggs, when you write about that stuff. And but I didn't want to go overboard and really, be too indulgent in the stories.
Right.
Because people, you're talking about that, they maybe don't want that to be known about them.
Right. Leave a little bit to the imagination, and don't piss off too many people when you're telling your stories.
Yeah.
There's also a mistake about. I feel like there's also a mistake about pulling back the curtain as to what goes on backstage at a show, before a show and after a show. People always wanting to break into that world back there and just to see what's going on. And there's artists out there that don't like that to be spoken about publicly or in interviews and things.
Exactly. A lot of times it's like, there's definitely wild times when the time was allowed for it. But most of the time it was like, if you're flying, you got to travel early in the morning. So it's like, going out on 5 hours of sleep and nobody sees the getting up at 6 a.m. exhausted. And you just have contempt for everybody, your bandmates. You're in a shitty mood. You're tired. You're jet lagged. You're hungover. And you got to, buck up, because guess what? You've got to travel that day and play that night. So you got to channel all this other shit out. But then there's the times where it's just like, the bus is parked. You're not leaving till the next morning. And there's like, 30 people, Animal House on the bus. Yeah. So it's not like that every night, nor, in my experiences, it wasn't, I had some really fun times, but it's a lot of work, and you got to like who you're around. And if you're not getting along with your band members and you're traveling, especially if you're overseas in Europe or Australia or, England or anything like that, it's tough,
Yeah. Because you're stuck with them, so you've got to either deal with them, or if you're having a bad time, there's really nowhere you can go, because not only would you
there isn't,
because people are expecting you to be there, and it's I'm sure, as they call it, a dick move to just up and leave. You just can't do that, because you have fans and just loyal people that want to see you, and they're expecting to see you, and that's what a lot of people don't understand as well, is that it's a job. Being a rock star, it may sound like living the life, but it's definitely a job. It's not.
It's a very dysfunctional job too. And if you were not used to, being pawed at and stuff like that, you can become very uncomfortable, and that's why a lot of people, do drugs and alcohol to the character that they're portraying, or this persona they're portraying, and not really be who they really are. For me, I loved it. I mean, I still do. And I love meeting the fans, and I love meeting new people and the whole experience. For me, I think I took it a little too far with the partying and stuff like that, and it kind of spit me up. It chewed me up and spit me out. And then once I burned out, I was like, I'm not having fun. And I look at this itinerary and go, oh my God, I got another 7 weeks.
Right.
And when you get into that, it's hellacious. And because that's why it's like you kind of numb yourself to just get through it. But it's kind of a double-edged sword where it's like, I like this. How long can you keep this going though?
For sure, yeah.
So you have to have other things that you're focused on, because once that whole, party monster kind of crashes and burns, and if you don't have something else that you're focused on or happy inside, it's miserable being on tour.
Oh yeah. So with all of these, life experiences you've had with, these different bands, like really building yourself as a character, learning, what works for you and what doesn't, just all of that has led you up to this point. Electric Radio Kings changing the name to Crashing Wayward. What can you tell us about Crashing Wayward? Like you said, you guys just changed the name and you guys are releasing an album soon, from what I've heard. But what can you tell us?
Well, the plan is to record 10 songs. It's quite a departure, not a huge departure from Electric Radio Kings, but I would say Crashing Wayward's more alternative. It's hard to describe the music without hearing it, but it's got elements of, I would say, Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots, White Stripes, David Bowie, a lot of really cool, all stuff that I love. So this is kind of the band I've been wanting to have for since the 90s, really. So I'm super excited about that. But as of right now, we've written 17 songs. The goal is to record 10 if that turns into an album, but we're prepping our single right now and then going to shoot a video it's a song called Breathe. And it's a little bit about what's going on in the world existentially. So we're going to do a video for that we're going to release it right after the election. And then we'll probably do a second single video, probably February. And then hopefully the idea is to tour, if we can, next summer. What blows my mind is that, not to completely go off topic, but that people are playing shows this year. And it's just like, what? I just kind of think it's irresponsible. And, when we don't have the vaccine yet. And they're just seeing now that, Sturgis, they're calling the super spreader event.
Yeah.
And what were they thinking putting that thing on, man? I've played Sturgis, I've played that. It's like, 40,000 people in just one night at one concert,
You think that, just outside of being just irresponsible for your own health as well, you can't be, you'd almost be losing money, just transporting yourselves and all of your gear to that event to play for, a quarter of the crowd if you're lucky. I feel like at that point you'd just be spending more money just getting to the event playing than you would be, making. I feel like that.
Not to mention, not even to mention that you could a musician or an act of any kind could face some heat, some scrutiny before even putting on a show.
Absolutely, that too. It's like, so we just, like I said, relegated to, let's rebrand the band, because this lineup, with exception of the drummer, was Electric Radio. We did play under Electric Radio Kings in January and February with this new lineup. So we were just like, let's take the time to really make this record great, because we're working with the same producer, Mike Gillies, who produced Electric Radio's album Per. And Mike was Metallica for 25 years as their engineer, but he's also worked with, Bryan Adams and Shania Twain, and he's just he's like the sixth member of the band. He's awesome, So we're really enjoying that, taking that time to make everything really just fantastically different. And I think that that's what's keeping me going amongst everything that's going on in the world, because it's like everyone's waiting to see what we're doing, because we have such this interesting fallout of Electric Radio Kings imploded right on the verge of success. So I think everybody's really curious to the kind of guy, man, I get knocked down, I get right back up. And so I think everyone's kind of just chanting this because they saw what they're very curious on what's the band's going to sound like, and to see what's gunning for us. So
you've told us a bit about who you've gotten to meet, just out there or play shows with.
Yeah.
Who would you love to like your all-time dream? Who would you love to record a song with? Get in the studio. Who would you love to work with?
I'd love to work with anybody from Stone Temple Pilots, and especially tour with them. And it's like I just so saddened by Scott's passing. It's just tragic. So talented, just cool as shit, man. Hands down, I think one of the best frontmans over the last 20 years. That would be a dream, that's just, they're one of my favorite bands. I love everything that they do. So that would be something, that would be amazing, an experience to, even play with them.
Would you say
that
was they were any sort of influence on you personally in the way that you try to play or compose any music of yours?
Well, I think what I loved about them is they took all these great elements. I never considered them a grunge band whatsoever. I love how they took elements of Aerosmith and Cheap Trick and the Clash and all that cool stuff and the Beatles and they kind of just made it their own. And also what I love about that band is how they change every album. They changed. Their sound changed, their style changed, their look kind of changed, and I love that about artists. I think that's why I love David Bowie so much. It's one of my all-time favorites too, is because he was so, not only was iconic, but he was just, the path he took was so different every year. There was an excitement. It's like, what's Bowie going to do next year? And he would go from one extreme to the other, but it was always great,
For sure.
Even when he was kind of in the mid 80s making very poppy music, it was still fantastic.
Yeah, that's very interesting that they specifically, as I said, out of everybody that you worked with on tour and everything, but that would be your go-to. In sort of a different vein too, we talked about everything music with you, and that you went down this path after getting that guitar when you were 11 and those piano lessons and the whole just music brain. If you hadn't pursued a musical career, what do you think you'd be doing now? What else interested you?
If I hadn't, I probably would have become a professional golfer.
All right.
I'm not joking. I'm 100% serious about that.
Polar opposites. All right.
Yeah. I started golfing when I was 11, and by the time I was 15, I had a 17 handicap, which is actually really, really good. But I was not. I sucked at school. I excelled in arts and stuff like that. But math and everything else, English and all that. I was a daydreamer. I, checked out. I would just sit there and, like, when is this class over? So I was, really not focused because it was like, I don't know, just knew I was going to do something else. But it's like, I didn't go to college when all my friends from high school went to university, and that stuff never interested me. So I probably would have pursued that. But, once, like I said, the music thing superseded that. And then once I started playing live when I was like 17, 18, 19, 20 and on, I just stopped playing golf. I remember my dad's like, "Why did you quit? You were so good. Why?"
Have you tried playing golf
now?
Yeah, there we go. Same
Yeah,
thing.
do you golf now?
Well, what's funny? It's like about 5 years ago, and it's funny. I live in a golf course community, and I still haven't gone out and even hitting a ball. But I did pick up a set of clubs and stuff and went to a driving range with actually my dad about 7 years ago. And I was like, oh God, I haven't hit a ball in so long. And, first few like 5, 6 swings, and then finally it all came back. And, I remember my fiance, I do that swing. It was like, you don't lose it. It's all pushing your weight through.
Muscle memory.
Mhm.
It is. And, just cranked the shot. I went at least 280 yards. And she's just like,
Just launched it into the sun.
To the moon.
I told you I used to be good, And it's amazing. It's like you have all that training that, years and years. I mean, when I was 15, I was playing. My dad used to have to come get me. I'd be in the pitch dark still playing on the course.
Yeah.
He's like, "What the hell are you doing? You've been gone since 6 a.m. It's 10:30 at night. What are you doing?"
Just working on those blisters.
Yeah, I loved it. So it was like, for me, it's like I got to be passionate about something, and I was never really that good at anything else. I wasn't ever going to be an accountant. Work as a scientist or a lawyer, or I'm sure my parents wanted that, but it was that's probably what I would have pursued. But I look, and it's funny because you look back and go, God, if I hadn't had that music in my life, I'm so thankful and grateful to have given those music lessons and stuff like that. I couldn't thank my parents enough for that. But then there was the same time where it was like, they were like, "Oh God, what have we done?" And then there was this sense of I had to rebel.
Yeah.
And it was just like, "Hey, wait a second, you're the one that got me into this. So what's the problem here?"
Yeah, this is your fault. If
the-
anything, this is your fault.
Yeah.
You went from the golf shirts to the rip t-shirts and the tattoos and the earrings
Yeah,
and everything.
snakeskin
And went, what
boots,
the hell is
Yes,
this?
hygiene. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's yeah. I probably would have done that.
Glam rock never looks so good.
Hey, it works for Alice Cooper. I mean,
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
You mentioned before you've hung out with Alice. Everybody I've ever heard of that's met Alice or had anything to do with Alice. I've been around musicians for a while. I used to work in radio out here in Australia for 10 years. Everybody says he's like the most down to earth, humble guy you could possibly ever meet.
he is. He's one of the sweetest, nicest people that him and his wife Cheryl. They're just wonderful human beings. I got to meet him first time we played a festival in Sweden with them, and I know a lot of his bandmates very well. Tommy and Ryan and so I was fortunate to get to meet him after his show in Sweden, and then we did this thing. It was actually my last show with LA Guns. We played this thing. He has this thing every year called Alice Cooper's Christmas Pudding. And he invited us to play. He's like, "What are you guys doing in December?" And we're like, I remember it was with Scotty, the bass player at the time. And we're like, Like, nothing? I thought he was going to say, how would you like to come over and mow my lawn? And we would be like, yeah.
Hell yeah, sure.
To coin a phrase from Caddyshack. So he's like, I do this thing, and he goes, I'll fly you guys in. And we're like, oh, yeah, man. So that was December 2012. So it was really cool, man. It was this whole star-studded event. Johnny Depp, Don Felder from the Eagles, Sebastian Bach, we played, and there was a few other people. So we went there. I think we only played like 3 songs at this beautiful theater in downtown Phoenix. And so I remember we got in the day before, and that's when we had sound check, and they were just sound checking. I'm standing there by the curtains, kind of sitting backstage, and Alice goes, "Hey, the guys are here." And he came over and hugged me, and I'm like, "Oh my God, Alice Cooper's hugging."
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa, this is freaking crazy. And, hung out with them. I'm sorry, was that TJ?
Yeah, you go back to pinching yourself again.
Yeah, we were just hanging out, and so then we played the show, and it was really cool at the end, man. They had this kind of, it was like this, everybody got up and jammed, and we played Run Run Rudolph. And I'm standing next to Johnny Depp, and we're playing Run Run Rudolph by Chuck Berry. And they started dropping this paper mache and looked like snow. And I remember this big piece of paper mache went right into my mouth, and I swallowed it. And I just remember looking at Johnny Depp, and he was laughing. And I said, "You saw that, right?" He's like, "Yeah." So a lot of good memory. But fast forward to, I think this was 2014. 2 years later, I had this all-star band called Literally. And we were playing at the Hard Rock Casino in Sioux City, Iowa, and we were doing the after party for Alice Cooper and Motley Crue. So we were sound checking, and I remember Tommy came in, the guitar player from Alice. He's like, "Hey, buddy, what's up?" And he goes, "Hey, Alice and Cheryl are eating lunch in the main restaurant. Why don't you go say hi?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you should." So I put my guitar down and walked out of the venue and down the hall, the restaurant. And I didn't think he was going to remember me. And, as soon as he saw me, he's like, "Hey, Stace, how's it going?" And I was like, wow. I mean, I'd only met him twice. I was blown away by that he remembered my name.
Yeah, that he like TJ said, like I've only heard good things about him as well, about him as a person.
Yeah.
You saying that just reinforces it. Yeah, and speaking of memorable people, who do you think would be the most memorable person that you've ever gone on tour with, whether it be another artist, venue manager, just anything like that? Who do you think would stick out to you the most out of everybody?
Gosh, there's so many great guys I met along the way. All the guys in Warrant and Skid Row, and the guys in Cinderella, wonderful guys. And but you meet a lot of great stagehands and agents and managers and stuff. So really, it's been just a great journey, man. And it's like I look back, I'd say, man, it's been a dream, in my categories too. But this is another Alice Cooper story. I want to wrap that part up of talking about Alice. When Electric Radio Kings did our first radio campaign with this big company called Landshark Promotion. And Alice featured us on his show, Nights with Alice Cooper, and he played our single "Sympathy for Me." So he talked a little about Dan, and he's going through the band members, and he gets to me last, and he says my name, and he's like, "Huh." He goes, I think I know. So in a way, he still remembered me, years later. So a testament to what a great guy he is.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, absolutely. He's got a good memory on him, apparently.
Yeah, he
Oh
does.
yeah.
That he does. And then I keep talking about Alice Cooper, but that later that summer, we played a show with his son here in Vegas at the Hard Rock Casino at Vinyl. We played with his son's band, Dash Cooper, as band, great band, and Alice was there. So it's again this, this focal with him, amazing. And he watched our show, and to be able to go and up to him and go, dude, thank you so much for playing our song, because it really broke the band nationally, and shake his hand and tell him that, and to see again. And what a great guy, man.
For sure. All around just a good guy.
Yeah.
So
TJ.
I think so. Yeah. So what we're gonna be doing now is something a little different. So we got to know you as a musician. We got to ask you a bunch of questions about your music life. This is another segment that is gonna be completely different than that. So we've got two segments. We've got a rapid fire round, and we have a would you rather round. So the rapid fire is going to be just a bunch of just random questions. I'll just give you one for example. One example is just cats or dogs. And then you just have a split second just to answer cats or dogs.
Okay.
And it's gonna be different questions like that. TJ is gonna head this one up, and we're gonna see what kind of answers you got for us.
All right.
All right. You ready, Stacey?
Hit me.
All right. No worries. So, again, fastest you can answer. What's the strangest thing you've eaten?
Eel.
Who's your favorite superhero?
I think Batman.
Yeah. How do you like your steak cooked?
Medium rare.
Yes,
Oh,
good.
Another
Perfect.
champion. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Hell yeah.
Another champion right there.
Another champion
Yeah.
there.
Connor's the only one out on that one.
Really?
We're
Okay.
gonna have to talk about this.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
I'd say I'm 7.5, 8.
And who's your first celebrity crush?
I'm going to answer this in a two-part. I think Cher. Well, I used to watch Sonny and Cher show when I was a kid, tiny kid, and I remember this publicist. This was probably 2008. Got my buddy and I, John Levin, into the haute couture. It was Fashion Week in LA, and they got seats right on the fashion runway
Oh.
at couture lingerie. So I'm looking around, I'm like sitting like 2 seats from me is Christina Aguilera. Across from me is like Rebecca De Mornay, Courtney Love, just like Anthony Kiedis, like uber pretties, right? And I remember, we were, before the show started, we were in the lobby having a drink. So there was a bar there in the lobby. And Cher just comes walking, and I'm just like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm not usually starstruck, but it's like somebody that had such an influence on me as a kid. And she had cool songs too.
Yeah.
She's so
Gypsy Trance
she's
and
so
Thieves.
elegant. Yeah.
So when she walking past me within 3 feet, that was like, yeah. So that's my Cher story.
Mind blown.
Yeah. Climb a mountain or jump from a plane?
Climb a mountain.
Have you ever stolen anything?
No, I don't think I have. No.
And final one, that favorite alcoholic
I
beverage.
stole a lot of licks. Yes.
Yeah.
I have. I've stolen a few things.
Yeah. Favorite alcoholic beverage.
Beer.
What
Well
brand?
done, sir.
What's your brand?
You've survived the rapid questions, rapid fire
Good,
round.
good fire round.
What kind of beer? Which one?
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
your brand?
Lately, I've been drinking Corona Premier.
All right.
But I started my bass player is way into IPAs, so he's kind of turned me on to a few of those. And I just tried this one last week. It's called Cosmic IPA.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know who makes. It's a white can with like almost like this like Star Wars looking
Yeah.
like sci-fi figure on it. It's really good. It's kind of hint of orange and lemon. 5.6%.
Right. I've never gotten into IPS. I don't know if it's just I've not grown up enough for it yet or what, but I just can't get into IPAs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they're really strong. If you're a light beer drinker, it's just so radically different. And some people just love they go down the wormhole of
Right.
all the how it's distilled and all the stuff and brewed and all that.
Next time you find yourself out here in Australia, Stacey, there's two beers I have to recommend. The first one is Great Northern. It's a lager, and that's my go-to beer. The second one is a beer that's brewed by three professional surfers: Joel Parker, Kelly Slater, and Mick Fanning. It's called Bolter Beer, and it's an IPA, and yeah, it's up there. It's probably the best IPA I've drunk.
Great one right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to come back to Australia. Very, very wonderful place, man. Wonderful people. A lot of good memories touring there. Yeah, beautiful place.
Switching over from those rapid fire questions, though.
Yes.
A little bit. You don't have to answer as quickly, but in the same vein, just sort of like off the top of your head, initial reaction, right? Got some questions for you. Classic game. Would you rather?
Okay.
These can, when you're playing as a kid or a teenager or something, these can get really dirty and weird. It's not going to get like that here.
Don't worry about that.
But
and they've done that.
But
several times.
Just off the rip, would you rather have more time or more money?
I've been self-employed most of my life, so I'd rather have more money.
All right.
Would you rather be stuck on a broken ski lift or in a broken elevator?
I think broken ski lift.
Yeah, that question really comes down to like fear of heights or claustrophobia, right? So
yeah, I think it's claustrophobia. Okay. It's like, yeah. Because at least you can look around at the scenery and stuff like that. Where the elevator, it's like, you're stuck in a shaft.
Just got the music playing over and over, just driving you nuts.
Yeah.
Would you rather have one get out of jail free card or a key that opens any door?
That's a good one.
Yeah, you can really
key
go
that opens
really
any
loud.
door. I think a key that opens any door, just because I'm a curious guy.
Right.
And I usually don't get into trouble too often.
Yeah, that question really comes down to like, would you rather? Are you trying to go out in a bang? You're gonna do something crazy that you're just like, but I can get away with it. I got the card.
Yeah.
Or you can always there's a little locked door. There's something you want to peek in on. You've got the key, right? And it's nothing too crazy, but yeah. Would you rather win $50,000 or let your best friend win $500,000?
I think let my best friend win $500,000 because he'd probably give me $50,000.
A little finder's fee, like, hey, I just got a place you can get $50,000 or $500,000 from. Little 10% tip.
10% down.
Yeah, he slides you a check, or at least maybe you'll get some bottle service out of it at a club.
That's right. Yeah.
Would you rather publish your entire search history going backwards from now on, or never be able to use a smartphone again. So you've got to expose yourself to the world or no more smartphone.
I think, and this is a topic of conversation. It's like, what would happen if we all took everybody's phone away? I'm gonna go with the smartphone, because it's like that's how I grew up. We didn't have phones. I didn't get my first cell phone until it was like 2002 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I lived all of that time without
Yeah, I mean, completely fair. It's I think if that question gets asked it just depends on probably how old the person that gets
Yeah.
it,
You ask that to a 20-year-old. I mean,
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays, if just everybody lost their cell phone, I'm pretty sure the world would just collapse. Like everyone would just go absolutely ballistic. But I'd say anybody over the age of like 30, 35, they'd be like, okay, well, I did this for the first, 20 years of my life. I can.
Yeah. Hey, read a book. What's that?
Yeah. Right.
I'm 35 and nearly 35, and I remember a time when the only time you would pick up your phone, the old Nokia 3310, is when it would go ding ding, and you'd read the text, reply, and put it down. You wouldn't touch your phone again. Now, if you get a text message, you reply, and then you check Facebook, you check Twitter.
Yeah, it wasn't a computer.
Exactly right. Yeah.
If I remember stumbling upon like this, my first or second phone, man, it was like a toy. It was this big.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, how did you text on that thing? It's like,
yeah. If you wanted an S, you had to work for it. You had to press 7 4 times. Like you had to work for that S.
Your nail. Oh, damn it.
Yeah. Hey, they weren't indestructible though.
I was gonna say it's a well-known joke about how they were indestructible. They really were. I like just a small thing there. I had this this little Nokia. This gray one. I don't remember the model number, but for some reason in my stupid kid brain or whatever, I don't know, maybe I was like 12. I can't remember. In my stupid kid brain, I thought it would be a good idea for me and a buddy of mine to play catch with it, tossing it over a tree back and forth. And so we're tossing it back and forward to each other, back and forth to each other over a tree or whatever. I ended up losing the phone somewhere in the tree. Gets caught in a branch somewhere. I had no idea what happened to it. Couldn't find it. That was it. Maybe 3 weeks later, I'm out there and the phone had fallen off not quite on my head, but it had fallen out of the branches down to the ground. It turned right on. This thing's been out there in the rain, whatever else, turned right on. Still works. And was like, well, okay.
That's funny. I think because they were more compact and thicker now, like, they're so flat and just, if you threw this, I mean, you just.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the cases you have for phones now. Yeah, the cases for phone now, those are meant to protect the phone. Like if you ever had a case for a Nokia, that was to protect your floor from when it hit the ground,
Yeah.
That, like
we put one in a beer at the pub one time and rung the phone, and it was sitting in the liquid in the beer, and the glass was going
really? Wow.
across the table. Yeah.
Do you do that anymore?
What was that? You kind of broke up.
We lost you for a second there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Connection kind of broke up for all of us for a second there. What was that you said there, Stacey?
Oh, no, it's just they don't build them like that anymore.
No,
not anymore. No, yeah,
for sure.
I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I do actually have a couple of questions for Stacey from my community that I've cultivated this week.
Go ahead.
Yep, go ahead. I got a couple. I got a couple left over as well, so feel free. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah. So it was immediately off the rip from. Let's see. We had what is your ideal guitar pickup amp setup? Just all that setting up. What's your ideal setup?
Right now I would have to say Les Paul or standard or classic. with any kind of tube good, um, whether it's my great Blue Voodoo 120s or a Marshall JCM 900, say, good overdrive pedal and delay. That's, give me the tools of the trade, and that's all I need.
I'll ask that. It's not a question from my community, but off of what you said there. What's your favorite guitar that you've got? What's your baby?
Well, there's a couple that it was a gift. One of my friends gave me this very special gift. It's 2000 Gibson gold top plastic.
That's a nice Les Paul.
It is. And that's what you use in most of your music videos as well, right? That's the one that's in almost all the music videos that I've seen, at least.
I've only used this once because I've only had this. I only got this 2019. I've only had this guitar for almost 2 years.
2 years? Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah,
I've been kind of just really gravitating this one. Yes, it's a beautiful guitar. Just because it's new, it's like a new toy.
Yeah.
But I have a bunch of other great Les Pauls, and I have some nice Fender Strats, and I'm having a guitar made for me right now, actually. Keith Horn, who was the other guitar player in Electric Radio Kings, he has a fantastic guitar company, a very boutique kind of vintage company called Marvin Guitar.
Okay.
Does really great stuff. So he's actually building me so I should have that next month or so.
Okay,
Nice.
right on.
Exciting.
I'm a bassist myself. I really love the SGs. So I have an Epiphone EB.
Nice.
Yeah, I love the double nut. But
Very cool.
yeah, I'm definitely a huge fan of the Les Pauls. If I could get a Les Paul bass, I'd be a very happy man. Also.
My cat did something here.
We can still see you.
Yeah, what did he do? I can only see one person now. He did something to my screen here, so.
If you hover over it, and then in the bottom right, it should say something about full screen. Go into full screen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Share your screen. There we go.
You got us all back, or?
Go on.
Oh.
No. That's not it.
Yeah, that's not it.
Yeah, turn that off.
Streaming? Yeah.
There we go.
There
you go. It should be top right, I think. It'll say focus, and you can change. Yeah, you can change the focus of who gets seen and all that.
Screen. Okay.
There he goes again.
No, you don't.
He's relentless like me. Share your screen.
Keyboard.
Yeah, it's not to share. It's not to share your screen. It's the if you go to top right, it should say focus. It'll be like 3 boxes next to each other, like one big box on the left and then 2 smaller boxes on the right.
At the very top right, or just on the actual screen that I'm, because I can only see TJ right now.
It should be just the top right of the Discord application.
Yeah.
Either that'll try pressing.
Yeah. It'll say grid.
Try pressing escape.
Yeah, escape could work. Yeah.
Escape on the keyboard.
Yeah. The very top left. ESC.
Yep.
Okay. Look. Tap.
That fix it?
No.
Does it say grid instead of focus if you hover over it? In the right side of the screen? I know Discord's got a lot of stuff that you're able to do with it. I know it's a little confusing sometimes.
Oh.
Well, I really only had another question here. You could still hear me and everything, so
Yeah, I can still hear you guys. It's fine. Yeah.
The only other question I had for you is just what are some of the harsh realities of that rock star life? You know, that maybe people coming into that don't quite understand. You know, what sort of warnings would you maybe have about some of the things they don't know?
Yeah, it's you know, it's a really dysfunctional job, and it really depends on the individual. Um, you know, it's like a roller coaster ride with the music career. You got to be prepared for the ups and the downs because there's only a handful of select that stay up top. And, you know, 1 minute you're eating lobster, the next minute it's, you know, mac and cheese. And if you can roll with the punches, you'll survive. It's like you got to be prepared for the tough times. Because it's like you get accustomed to living a certain lifestyle or a certain way, you know. And I remember it was like when after 10 years of leaving LA Guns, and I was like, oh my God, now what? I've lived this certain way. I was like touring the world every year, making music, and now just what am I doing?
Right.
And you hope to, you know, do some things, and you have to kind of make a decision. And that's kind of why, you know, after in 2017 or 16, I was like, you know, I'm tired of being this replacement guitar player guy. And I didn't want to join another band and be another guy just in the, you know, ladder of dudes in and out of a certain band or whatever. I'm like, I want to do my own thing, and I want it to be on my terms. I want to do my own music, and I want to do something different and modern. And if I succeed, freaking, it'll be such a gift. If I don't, well, at least I know I gave it everything that I had. So it's stuff that you got to prepare for. Like you better be focused and grounded, because it's like, you know, if you think that it's like, hey, this is, you know, I'm on Easy Street here, and it's like I do the same thing every year. There's usually something that you got to be prepared for that happens. Either, you know, somebody leaves the band. Shit happens all the time.
For sure.
And sometimes I feel like I'm a shit magnet. You know, it was like, you know, just last year, it was like August. It's like Electric Radio, because you know, our album had just been released by Universal. We were going to sign with a manager named Larry Mazur, who managed Kiss, Lamb of God.
Lamb of God, great band.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Who else did he? Cinderella he managed, and he's Bob Cherry's current manager. And it was like, wow, it's all falling into place. And we just played in Houston and to 1,000 people. And that night, singer quits. And just everything just flushed down the toilet. And it's like you just, the whole world just kind of stops, and you're just like, you're numb and go, now what? But you gotta be able to either just go, that's it, I'm done, or you gotta roll with those punches. It's like risk management, you know. But then there's other guys who they spend their whole lives in the same band that they've had success. So it's a gamble, man. And it's like that. It's kind of a hard question to answer because everybody's story is different. My story is different than a lot of other people, you know, became successful around my age, you know, or super successful. I think the worst part was the people who became successful after a couple of years. I got big record deals and sold 1 million records. And then 3-4 years later, boom, you're done.
Yeah.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Because you
I
have
don't know
this,
what it's like. I've never been through that. So, but a lot of my friends have.
just have that big, huge hit of success and they're riding that high, and then it's just stripped away from them. They just don't know what to do. Is that kind of what you're going at? Just like they just don't know.
Yeah,
what to
I
do.
mean, it's like that's what happened to a lot of the, the 80s metal bands in, the early 90s. By 92, 93, they were just, they were phased out. It was like become like disco, and they were just shunned upon. And it's like, what a mind fuck that must be into like 2-3 years prior, and you're headlining arenas, selling millions of records. Your videos being played nonstop on MTV. 2, 3, 4 years later, and you're just shunned upon. Like, wow!
I call it Rick Astley syndrome.
Rick Astley syndrome.
That's good. Rick Astley syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well-
Everybody's stories. Like I said, everybody's stories different. So,
For sure.
there was a lot of one-hit wonders. I can't imagine being that popular in like 1 minute and you're forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a good insight there about just things maybe people don't quite understand and
Yeah.
that are behind the scenes in a way and everything.
Yeah.
Thomas, did you have some questions from your group or?
We got a couple of kind of more just general questions. First one would just be, how do you deal with stress whenever you're just really feeling it? How do you just kind of relax and de-stress yourself?
Drink and smoke cigarettes.
There. Make
Like
sure you're of
most
age.
Yeah.
And then I've actually got one as well. What's your favorite guitar gauge? Your guitar string gauge. What's your go-to?
Well, if I'm playing a Tele or a Stratocaster, I'll be 9 through 46. And if I'm playing Les Paul, it's a 10 through 22.
All right. That's about all I had. Do you have any, TJ?
Yeah, just one. Most musicians go through a phase in their lives where they busk. Did you ever do any busking out in the street? And do you have any memorable moments from busking?
Busking, what is that? Oh, I'm not sure I understand it.
So you take your guitar out in the street. You put down the guitar case. And
Oh,
you
okay,
strum it
yeah.
along. Yeah.
No, I've never done that.
Oh wow. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, that's a big thing out here in Australia. Guitarists will grab his guitar and just go put.
It's great. You have no middleman. It's like, I mean, I was too busy getting, ripped off and, bent over and put a stick up my ass and getting hosed for thousands of dollars. So.
Yeah. Damn.
Well, I think
The other one sounds a little better.
so. I think that's
And that's another thing to go sorry, to reverse, guys, as you were talking about, is, as a musician, it's like, be prepared to get dicked over,
Oh yeah.
ripped off. It's just part of the thing, and that's why you got to be in it for the music. If you're in it for all the other reasons, you won't last. I mean, I've been hosed so much to where it's like you just become numb to it. It's just like, oh, it's just business as usual. It's unfortunate, but sorry.
It's part of the business. No, it's all good. I think that's all the questions we have, though. Stacey, thank you so much for spending time with us. And
guys, this was great. Yes.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun for us. We hope you enjoyed yourself. Are there any social medias or anything that you'd like to plug here at the end for anybody that's watching or anyone that's going to watch the video to be able to check out?
Yeah, we've got a very great active band page on Facebook, which is facebook.com, Crashing Wayward, and very active Instagram band page as well. And then, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram as well. I don't do Twitter too much anymore, but we also have www.crashingwayward.com. We just got that site up, so we're going to start really adding to that once we get music ready after the election. Yeah, here in the States.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
It's in
you
November.
mentioned that earlier. Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. You have a single dropping in November. When can we expect the whole album?
Probably I would say close to April or May or summertime. It's funny. It's just like things have slowed down, especially with this whole pandemic. It's like, I remember just doing a full record in a month. I look back and go, how the hell did we do that? Or 6 weeks or 7 weeks, and I mean, per Electric Radio King, that took like 11 months. And we switched producers in the middle of it. That's kind of why I did, but I kind of used to that. I kind of like taking my time. I don't like being rushed, so not an immediate rush to get it out, but we'll definitely have a good at least 2 or 3 singles out and videos by leading up to that point too. Yeah.
Sounds
Awesome.
good. You guys need to go follow the socials that he mentioned there for Crashing Wayward on Instagram and Facebook, and be able to check out the videos and the music when it drops.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great band full of great guys, super talented. Everybody in this band: Dave Harris on guitar, Peter Summit on vocals, Sean McKee on drums, and Carl Rather on bass. I couldn't have asked for 5 better guys. Just wonderful guys, and really great chemistry. So.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely can't wait for all that. And we'll have all of your links down in the YouTube video that you guys all watching the stream can check out as well. Stacey, if you want to go over and watch this back, see how it looks from everyone's point of view, you can see that as well. And then let us know if there's any links you want to add as well. We can always edit that. And then TJ is going to be announcing next week's guest. So I'll hand it over to TJ real quick.
Yeah, guys, next week's guest, we're pretty excited. I've been in, as some of you know, Jake the Viking is a good mate of mine. Jake the Viking from the Mr. Beast YouTube crew. If you don't know who Mr. Beast is, he's the guy that gives away hundreds of thousands of dollars to people in the street all across America. Jake the Viking is going to be here on the podcast next week. We're really excited to have him. I look forward to that. And stay tuned to the Twitter, and we'll update you throughout the week. But Jake the Viking, next week's guest. Back to
cool, guys. Well, thanks again. This was a lot of fun, and for some reason I'm craving beer now.
You're not the only one.
Sounds one up.
Alta beer.
Alta beer.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, stay safe out there.
You as well.
Thomas, thanks again. We'll chat soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We
All
will
right.
for sure.
DJ Connor, take care, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
See you later, guys.